When he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come." And I looked, and behold, a black horse, and its rider had a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard what seemed to be a voice in the midst of the four living creatures, saying, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius. And do not harm the oil and the wine." So some people would also interpret the black horse as referring to famine.
Yeah.
But I would also say here, if we're looking at it into a persecution sense, that this is not referring to famine, that this is referring to essentially poverty and riches. So if we look at the measurements that are given here, so he has a scale, and it says a quart of wheat for a denarius and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius. A quart of wheat for a denarius would be, back then, it would be an entire person, a daily wage for a person. So everything they made in a day would go toward getting a quart of wheat, which is like barely enough to feed yourself.
Yeah.
And then, or you could get 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, which would be not as good as wheat, but it'd feed more people like your family, right? But, and it says, do not harm the oil and the wine. Oil and wine would have been the luxuries that the rich would have had. So in this sort of system, if I'm only making a denarius a day, then I'm going to be in poverty and suffer. While the rich wouldn't suffer from this. They could pay it, right? So what's implied here is that what comes as the repercussions, in a way, of being a believer is the persecution in the sense of poverty. So, and we can even see this in our own day, which I would say this also extends into our own day. How many times that those who are rich are typically the most immoral people, because they have no moral obligation. They have no reason to go, I can't do that. They're willing to do it. Yeah, they're willing to take anything to be rich, right? Where a Christian may go, I can't work on Sunday. That's going to lose money in the long run, right? Or there's a job that is trying to have them do something that's immoral to their values, of the Christian values and what Christ teaches us to do. That's going to harm the job in the context. So, and also there's just the general persecution that comes along with it that would lead to poverty, that a Christian could not, wouldn't always be able to have the ability to have that state of power that the other. So what kind of follows a lot of times with, in this persecution sense, is poverty comes out of following Christ sometimes, and that's kind of the persecution that's going on here. And that's kind of the contrast that's going out with do not harm the oil of the wine. So it's something that the Christian won't get to have the same luxuries and the same things that the rich will get to have, the immoral will get to have. Yeah. Because, I mean, it kind of just goes back to our riches are not of this world. Yeah. Our riches are stored up in heaven.
And I like to think of when we talked about Ecclesiastes, where it's all vanity of this world.
It's all vanity.
It's all pointless. Our riches, like you just said, they're not of this world.